welcome to my craft room. I'm Nina with Walla Stamping. Thank you for stopping by. I have a couple of projects that I'm going to be sharing with you today, and this is a part of my Mother's Day series. I've got the card and a little coordinating gift bag, and it's so small and so cute. I just love how this turned out, and believe it or not, it's incredibly easy to make. I like the card because of all the layering and the textures and all of the colors. I think you're going to enjoy creating these two projects, and they feature quite a bit of some of our retiring product, and as I'm going through I will tell you which of those items it is. And all of the things that are retiring will be retiring on May the 31st. And they're available while supplies last. So let me encourage you, if there's any product that you want, get your order in sooner rather than later so that you don't miss out on getting something that you'd really like to have. Now, I did a video earlier this week and shared with you not only the information about the retiring product, but I also shared information with you about the absolutely beautiful new colors that Stampin' Up! Is coming out with. We have 5 new end colors, and we have, I think if I'm not incorrect, 13 new colors, and actually a couple of them are returning colors. So I'm not going to go through all that now. I just like to encourage you to visit my blog and look for the retiring post there, as well as look back on YouTube from, I think it was Monday, and check out that video. But what I do have for you that you may be interested in is this page where you can see all of the new colors, and you can download and print this, as well as the color coaching pages, which have all of our colors, and it gives you suggestions of different color combinations that you can use with all of our colors. And I have some blanks over there for you to print out as well so that you can come up with your own color combinations. So let's jump on in and get started on our project today. We'll start out with the card. Now, I've got a list of everything that I'm using today along with the measurements, and that was at the beginning of the video, and I'll have it at the end of the video. It'll also be in the description box below the video and on my blog post and in the instruction sheet. But I do want to just lay everything out and show you what all I'm going to be using. So we'll start out with our card base, which I've decided to go with Elegant Eggplant. This is a color that is going to be retiring, and this is 8.5 by 5.5, and then I'm just going to score and fold it at 4 1/4. My first panel is going to be Berry Burst, 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. The next panel is actually going to be 3 pieces together. Again, it's the Elegant Eggplant, some Dazzling Diamonds, which is going to be retiring, but it's going to be replaced with a paper called Sparkle. And then I have a piece of my Fresh Florals Designer Series paper. These are cut all to the same length, which is 5 3/8. The Elegant Eggplant is cut to 2 inches. The Dazzling Diamonds is 1 7/8, and the Flourishing Flowers is 1 3/4. Then on to the next panel, which we're going to do some embossing and some inking on this. So I think you're going to like that texture added to this card. The Elegant Eggplant, 3 3/4 by 2. And the Pink Pirouette is 3 5/8 by 1 7/8. And the next panel, Elegant Eggplant, 4 by 3, Pink Pirouette, 3 7/8 by 2 7/8. The last piece of Elegant Eggplant is 3 by 2, and a piece of Whisper White, 2 7/8 by 1 7/8. So let's go ahead and start building our card. I'm just going to begin by folding my card base in half and getting myself a nice sharp fold line there. I'm just going to be using my multi-purpose liquid glue quite a bit on this card today to attach all of my panels. So I'm putting down my Berry Burst first. Then we'll go on and build our next panel, which is going to be the 3-layer panel. We'll go ahead and attach that to the bottom of our card. All right, now I'm going to move this aside for just a minute because we are going to be doing some embossing, and I'm going to be using the Petal Care embossing folder today. And well, let me show you. This is the one that I'm going to be using. So let me grab my Big Shot and I'll tell you what sandwich I have layered here. I just have the Big Shot platform. Then I have one of my cutting pads. Get my layering pieces out here. So I'm going to be using my pink pirouette, which is going away. It is retiring. Going to place that in there. Uh-oh, it slipped on me. There we go. Get that in there and then just put another cutting pad on top and run it through. I'm going to be doing some inking on there. I've got my Berry Burst ink and my sponge applicator. So I'm going to get some ink on my applicator, dab it off just a little bit, and Berry Burst may seem like it's kind of a strong color for the powder pink, but the way that you're going to do this, it'll look really pretty. I'm just moving back and forth in a zigzag type of a motion because I want some areas darker and some areas lighter. So I'm just going to do like that, and then I'll just take that and just rub it over the whole thing, just a couple of swipes just to bring all of that color together. Then we'll put these two together. We'll go ahead and get this stuck to the front of our card, and you're going to place this over here to the left-hand side and leave it off the edge about a half of an inch or so, maybe 5/8 of an inch. Just eyeball it to your personal preference. Okay, so sit this over here, and we've got to build our next layer, which is this one right here. As you can tell, I've kept that concentration of color primarily in the center of this piece of cardstock. Then I've got my elegant eggplant, which is going to be retiring. And of course, if you are a purple person like me and you love purple, we have 3 purples going away, but they're being replaced with some beautiful colors. So not to worry. So I'm going to get this. Oh, I didn't share the stamp sets that I'm using. So sorry. I have the Hold On to Hope, and what I'm using in this one is this floral image right here. I just think it's pretty, and as you may know that I've said before, I like scrolly type of images. So I'm using that, and I'm also using the You're Inspiring because I like this sentiment right here. It goes perfect with my Mother's Day series. So first of all, what I'm going to do, I've got some washi tape stuck to my finger. Let me get that off. Then I'm going to stamp this in this corner and then coming up around the top right there because I want to leave room for my sentiment to be stamped as well. And I did run off the page a little bit right there. It's okay. I'm not going to worry about it. The first one I kept the whole thing in view, but it's okie dokie. Then I'm just going to stamp my sentiment right down here underneath that. Isn't that so pretty? I love it. It's simple and elegant and beautiful all at the same time. So now all we have to do is add this card to this card. Attach this panel here. You're going to attach that in the center from top to bottom, but you're going to put it more to the right hand side, leaving the same width of border here that you have on the other two. Now comes our ribbon, and I'm going to be using the metallic edge ribbon, and this is in Berry Burst. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use some fast fuse. I'm just going to flip this over and just keep mindful of which side you have this space on. So I'm just going to flip it like this. Put a little fast fuse right there, and I do that just to hold my ribbon in place for me. I'm going to scroll off a pretty good piece and stick that down right there, and this just helps hold my ribbon in place for me so that I can wrap it around and get it tied on the front. Now I decided to add a few pearls to this. I just think that it really does make it look even more feminine, and I just put one in the center of all of the flowers on this stamped image. And so, okay, I almost missed one right there. So isn't that so pretty? Oops, I got a runaway pearl. Let me put her back. All right, let me set those to the side. Now all we have left is to just attach this to the front of our card. But because we have a few layers over there, I'm going to be using some dimensionals. So I'll put adhesive on the back of my left-hand side because that's going to be popped up on top of some of these layers. And I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of the right-hand side to help even it out. Now this is not a necessary step. You could just use regular glue or whatever adhesive you're choosing to use all over the whole back, but I just feel like it makes it look nicer if everything is raised up off the front of this card the same. So I'm just going to stick this on top just like this, and actually this little piece is kind of over to the right hand side. I didn't put glue on there, Lord help me. Okay. Let me just squirt some glue up under there. See, I was talking too much and not thinking about what I was doing. But see, that was an easy fix. I just squirted some glue up under there and voila, it's done. Let me get these ugly papers out of the way. So here's our card. Now let's move on to our little gift bag. Now for that, I'm actually going to be using the powder pink. I think I'm right in the color that's on here. And I'm going to be using a little piece of Berry Burst. Now, I would have used this exact same paper to create the bag with. However, when I went to make this bag this morning, I was totally out of the Berry Burst. I had every other color except Berry Burst. So what does that tell you? That was my favorite color. All right, we're going to do a little bit of scoring. Flourishing Florals cut to 7 by 8. So we're going to start scoring on the 8-inch side. We'll start out at 1 1/4 inch, then at 5 1/4 inch, and at 5 1/2. Then I'm going to turn it so that that first score line that I made, the one that was at 1 1/4 inches, is down here on the bottom. Then this is the 7-inch side. We'll score at 1/2 inch first. Then we're going to score at 1 1/8 inch, and I don't know how well you can see it, but I have two score lines here close together. I'm going to score all the way down to that second horizontal score line and stop right there. Then score all the way down at the 1 3/4 inch line. Then come over to 3 3/4 and score all the way down. Then at 4 3/8, we're going to score again down to that second score line and stop. And then finally at 5 inches, score all the way down. So I have my cheat sheet here, and I will have a diagram of the drawing for this bag over on my blog, and that way it'll have all the lines where you're supposed to score and where you're supposed to cut, so it'll be really easy for you. But this is a super simple bag to do anyway. And you know, something I meant to do is I wanted to show you a few things. I have this card, this bag, this gift card holder, and this little box right here. All of these are going to be in my next online class, and I just wanted to show you what I've come up with just so that you can take a look at it. And everything that I've used here, I've either used the layering squares, circles, or ovals to create all of these projects. So that is going to be the main focus in this class, is using your layering framelits. So if you're interested in getting more information on this class, finding out how you can sign up for it, send me an email to nina@wallastamping.com, and I'll be glad to get back with you and let you know when it's going to be available. All right, so let's move on and get to cutting. So what I have here is, remember that very first score line at 1 1/4 inches is down here at the bottom. And then I've got all of my score lines going across. I'm just going to cut up each of these score lines and then stop at my first horizontal score line. And let's see if I can see them all. Yep. Then I have a little bitty rectangle over here on the side. Don't need it. Gonna snip that off. Then the two smaller tabs right here, which a lot of times I just like to fold. Oopsie. the tabs that I'm not needing to trim off out of the way. So I'm just going to cut wedges out of both of these tabs. It makes it much nicer when your box goes together. All right. Let me get my little scraps out of the way. Then I'm going to cut away the pieces on the top. So pretty much how well you can see, I don't know, but I have those two score lines right here and right here that are close together. And there's a rectangular piece right here, and that is all we're going to keep. So I'm going to flip this upside down. I'm going to cut straight up this score line right here, and I'm going to go to the second score line and stop. So what I'm going to do before I move on is I'm going to grab my stylus, and remember those little short score lines that we made? I'm just going to use that as my marker, and just below this second score line here, I'm just going to make a little indentation so that I don't lose those when I cut across this score line. I'm going to fold that score line because I'm having a hard time seeing where it is. This will make it a lot easier. So I can still see where those little score lines are. I'm just going to use my Simply Scored scoring tool to do this additional scoring, and let me show you how you can do this. You can also use a ruler and your stylus as well. I'm going to fold these little tabs out of the way. Then I'm going to line this little tick mark. You see I've got this line down the middle of my scoreboard. I'm going to line this little tick mark up right here. And then where this score line comes down right here, I'm going to line that up with the little line that I have drawn on my scoreboard, and then I'm going to score. Going to keep it in place up here, swing it the other way, line this score line up with the line on my scoreboard, and score again. I'm just going to do the same thing right here. Get that little tick mark lined up and my score line and score. Swing it to the other side. Line up that line and score. See, it is so simple. And this makes folding up your bag a lot easier too. So now let's go ahead and get all of our score lines folded and burnished so that my paper knows how to behave. I'm going to put some adhesive. For this, I'm just going to use my fast fuse. Put it on this little tab right here. And I'm going to fold that over on that score line right there. Fold this score line over. Match up the top and bottom score lines and get that stuck into place. Now I like to fold it this way, and I was off just a little bit on my cutting. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and trim that little bit off, because sometimes if I'm in a hurry, I may not line everything up perfectly when I'm getting ready to cut it, and I'll get off a little bit. Okay, so this is the front of our bag. I want to put adhesive on this tab right here. Again, I'm going to use my fast fuse. You could use liquid glue or tear and tape or whatever your favorite adhesive is, but I do like the fast fuse because it is very strong. Stick those together. And again, I was off on my cutting, so I'm going to trim that little piece off right there. And see those little score lines we made right there? It makes your bag know exactly what it is you want it to do. Okay, so now I'm going to use my Scallop Tag Topper punch. I think that's what this is called. Slide that all the way up in there and punch it. Then I have an additional piece, and I've decided to use something that will stand out against the background. Instead of using the powder pink, I'm going to use the Berry Burst. This piece is 2 inches wide, 2.5 inches long. Slide that up in there and punch it. Then I'm going to use just my fast fuse. Put that on the back. I'm going to lay this down with my adhesive side up, and then lay this little piece on top of it. And I just want a very small border because I need this little opening right here for my ribbon. All right, so there we go. Then I've left the top with a little 1/4 of an inch fold over so that the bag is not squished all the way closed. See what I'm talking about right there? I think it's just kind of cool. Now on this one, you can go with either pearls or with rhinestones. I've decided to use rhinestones because y'all know me. I love the glittery stuff, and I'm just using one of the smallest rhinestones. in the center of all of the flowers that I can see. And on this one, I only am able to see 3 of them, and that's fine. You could use the pearls, you could use nothing. It's your personal preference. Now I'm going to be using my metallic edged ribbon again. I'm going to start out by sliding this from the back into the front right here. So it's coming through like that. I'm going to wrap it around the bottom of the bag and then up over the top. I'm going to go ahead and trim it right there. Then I'll just tie this into a bow to hold it shut. You're going to want your bow right down here, right on top of where that little opening is. Alrighty then, so here we have all of the projects that I wanted to share with you today in the Mother's Day card series. And I just want to thank you for spending time with me today and allowing me to share this project with you. Also, I wanted to remind you that a list of everything that I have used today, including the retiring items, was at the beginning and at the end of the video, in the description box, on my blog, and in the description or the instruction sheet. So if there's product that you want to get, make sure you get your order placed as soon as possible so that you don't miss out on getting the things that you want to have. Also, when you're on my blog getting the instruction sheet and looking at the retiring and the new colors, make sure that you sign up for my email so that you can get your welcome gift as well as exclusive tutorials and promotions from me. And I would love to encourage you, if you've ever considered becoming a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, whether it is to purchase the product at a discount or actually have your own home-based business where you can set your own schedule, work for yourself, and earn some extra income, I would love to have you on my team. And now is a great opportunity because if you sign up, you can get all of the new products early in the month of May, as opposed to having to wait until June. So if you're interested in becoming a demonstrator and joining the Walla Stamping team, send me an email, nina@wallastamping.com. I would love to have you on my team. I hope that you have a great day, that you enjoyed this tutorial, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.